Time does not slip away, it sings, a silent rhythm echoing beneath our distractions. Every second you delay is not merely lost, it is exchanged, traded for comfort, fear, or illusion. But what if your hesitation is not laziness, but a sacred whisper waiting to be understood? The moments you call wasted may be invitations in disguise, subtle summonses from the divine, bidding you to remember that your life is not random. You are not here by accident. You are a thread in a grand tapestry, and the loom does not lie. Each pause, each trial, each silent morning where purpose felt distant, none of it is void. The universe is not still. It's orchestrating. Even in your delay, it moves with you. You are being sculpted slowly, deliberately into the one who will rise, not just to act, but to act with meaning. Because when time is mastered, destiny answers, and eternity leans in to listen. Time isn't just something you manage. That's the lie they fed you. Time is a revelation, an unveiling of who you truly are beneath the distractions, beneath the scrolling, beneath the noise you flood your mind with to avoid the stillness. See, most people treat time like it's an app to optimize. Like if they just download the right calendar or buy the perfect planner, they'll figure life out. But time doesn't bend for the tools you buy. It bends for the clarity you carry. It listens to those who understand what it is. Because time is alive. It speaks. It watches you. It doesn't just pass. You pass through it. Every minute is asking you, are you ready yet? Not ready with a to-do list. Ready in your soul. Are you ready to step into what was written for you before you were even born? You weren't dropped here to exist on autopilot, drifting through routines and calling that survival. You were placed in this moment, this exact time in history, with purpose. And purpose doesn't exist in theory. It reveals itself in how you treat your now. And your now is all you'll ever have. That's what time is trying to show you. You don't control it. You respond to it. Every breath is an answer to the question, who am I becoming? Like, here's what's wild. Most people don't want to become anything. Not really. They want ease. They want shortcuts. They want results without refinement. And when they don't get them, they blame time. If only I had more time, as if time is withholding something. But the truth is, time never withholds. It only reveals. It gives you exactly what you honor. And when you treat time like it's sacred, it starts to open doors you didn't even know existed. You ever notice how the most successful people in the world, spiritually, financially, physically, they're not running faster than you. They just see differently. They understand that every minute is either building their legacy or betraying it. That every idle hour is a vote against their vision, that every delay is a permission slip they've signed. Stop acting like it owes you something. Time doesn't bow to your comfort. It answers to conviction, to clarity, to commitment. You want it to slow down? Show it why it should. Show it you're ready to carry something weighty, not just success, but meaning. Because let's be real, there's something deep inside you that knows this. You felt it. In the quiet moments when no one's watching and the world stops performing, you've heard that whisper, that pull, that reminder that there's more. You're not just some guy trying to be productive. You are a force designed to shape the world around you with intention, with presence, with fire. But fire needs fuel, and that fuel is how you treat your time. So don't sit there asking for more hours in the day. Ask for more clarity in your spirit, because once you see time as sacred, it stops being your enemy and becomes your ally. And in this life, you don't manage time, you answer to it. Time is the mirror. Your life is the reflection. Make it worthy. Procrastination gets a bad rap. Everyone's so quick to call it laziness, weakness, failure, but it's deeper than that. It's not always because you're weak or unmotivated. Sometimes procrastination is the soul trying to make sense of the chaos. It's the silence before the symphony. That space between who you are and who you're becoming. Because listen, every person on a real path, a dangerous path, a meaningful path, will face moments where movement feels impossible. And it's not because they don't care. It's because they care so much they're afraid of getting it wrong. You don't hesitate because you're soft. You hesitate because something sacred inside you knows that what you do next matters. But here's the trap. People get comfortable in that silence. They think reflection is the same as action. It's not. At some point, silence must give way to sound. At some point, the waiting becomes an excuse. The hesitation becomes decay. And the longer you stay stuck there, the more the dream starts to rot in your hands. You ever sat in your room full of energy, full of thoughts, full of potential, and still done nothing? That's not laziness. That's fear dressed up as overthinking. That's your calling knocking and you pretending not to hear it. You start looking for reasons to stay safe. You start spiritualizing delay. You tell yourself, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe God's telling me to wait. Let me tell you something. God doesn't waste time. And he doesn't need you to be perfect before you move. He needs you to move so he can make you perfect through the fire. The discomfort you feel when you procrastinate, that's not punishment. That's pressure. That's heaven pulling on your potential. And this is where most people lose the fight. They confuse that pressure for pain, so they run. They distract themselves with the small, scrolling, snacking, sleeping, watching podcasts of the moment, while the big things wait for them. Your purpose is out there, calling your name, and you're pretending it's a spam number. You think you're tired, but you're not. You're misaligned. You think you need rest, but what you really need is realignment with your mission. You've disconnected from your why, and now everything feels heavy. That's what procrastination does. It disconnects action from meaning. It makes motion feel meaningless. So you stop moving altogether. But here's the thing. The silence doesn't last forever. Sooner or later, life plays its next note, with or without you. And if you're not ready to join the song, it moves on. You've got one chance to step into rhythm with your calling. And you don't do it by overthinking. You do it by responding. You pick one thing. One movement, one step, and you do it with fire. You don't wait for clarity, you create it through motion. You don't wait for motivation, you summon it by saying, enough is enough. This is my moment. And yeah, maybe the fear doesn't disappear. Maybe the self-doubt doesn't fully vanish, but you don't need a fear-free life. You need a focused one. You need to remember that even silence has a rhythm, but it's meant to build tension before the breakthrough. You're not broken, you're being tuned. So if you've been waiting, hesitating, circling the same mountain, this is your moment. This is where the silence ends and the symphony begins. You don't need another sign, you are the sign. Start moving before life plays the next note without you. You want to know why you keep falling into the same patterns? Why motivation fades? Why your fire burns out? Why your to-do list turns into tomorrow's regrets? It's not because you're incapable. It's not because you're not smart or strong or disciplined enough. It's because your actions aren't tied to something bigger than your comfort. That's the real issue. You're moving, yeah, but without meaning. You got motion without direction. You're busy, but you're not becoming. You can hustle all day, grind through tasks, fill your schedule to the brim and still feel hollow. You can win battles and still lose the war. Why? Because action without purpose is just noise. And in this life, you don't want noise. You want signal. You want frequency. You want every step, every breath, every decision to echo through eternity. That only happens when you move from purpose, not pressure. See, when you truly know why you're doing something, you stop needing to be pushed. You don't need alarm clocks or external hype or some perfect morning routine. Purpose wakes you up. It becomes your fuel. You stop negotiating with your calling. You stop making deals with your doubts. You move like someone who's seen the end from the beginning. That's when things shift. That's when procrastination dies. Not because you forced yourself to act, but because the fire inside you made delay unbearable. But most people don't live that way. They live reactive lives. They wait to feel good before they act. They wait until life hits them hard enough to finally do something. They wait until the pain of staying still becomes louder than the fear of moving. And by then, it's late. Not too late, but late enough to make the climb steeper. Purpose flips the script. It turns action into alignment. You're not just working hard, you're working right. You're not just chasing success, you're stepping into destiny. And when you move like that, even the hard days have weight. Even the struggles make sense. You stop asking, why is this so hard? And start asking, what is this shaping in me? That's the power of purposeful action. It transforms effort into impact. It makes even the boring stuff holy. You stop needing applause because you're driven by assignment. You stop needing instant results because you're playing the long game. You're not addicted to dopamine. You're addicted to becoming. Look, this world's going to try to sell you shortcuts, easy wins, fast success. And if you're not rooted in purpose, you'll buy it. You'll jump from thing to thing, chasing feelings instead of building foundations. But purpose doesn't chase, it anchors. It holds you steady when life gets loud, when the doubts creep in, when everyone around you starts folding. Because when you know your why, your how becomes unstoppable. And here's the raw truth. If you don't find your purpose, someone else will hand you theirs. And you wake up 10 years down the line realizing you've built someone else's dream while your own sat in the dark, starving. That's a tragedy. But it's also a choice. Every single day it's a choice to move with meaning or drift in mediocrity. So don't just act. Don't just move for the sake of motion. Move because your soul has something to say. Move because your future is waiting for your current self to wake up. Move because the world doesn't need more busy people. It needs more aligned people, focused people, dangerous people who know exactly why they were put here. When your actions serve your purpose, procrastination doesn't stand a chance. People hear the word discipline and flinch like it's a punishment, like it's some cold, rigid system designed to kill your joy and steal your freedom. But real discipline isn't a cage. It's choreography. It's the rhythm you build when you're in sync with who you're becoming. It's the daily dance with destiny. Discipline isn't just about getting things done. That's shallow. Anybody can cross things off a list. Discipline is deeper. It's spiritual. It's sacred. It's what happens when your values dictate your habits, not your feelings. Most people live on emotional autopilot. If they feel tired, they rest. If they feel lazy, they delay. If it's raining outside, they cancel everything. But feelings weren't built to lead. They were built to be led. You ever notice how champions, warriors, true high performers, they don't wait to feel like it. They act regardless. They've trained their minds to bow to a greater mission. That's not obsession. That's alignment. Discipline is when your mind serves your mission, not your moods. And here's the truth. Most of the breakthroughs you want won't arrive with fireworks. They'll arrive through repetition, through doing the thing over and over again when no one is clapping, when it's not glamorous, when it's lonely, and when it looks like nothing's happening. But something is happening. You're being shaped, strengthened, forged. Every day you show up when it's hard, you're laying brick on the foundation of the life you say you want. But the reason so many people never taste real greatness is because they only move when it's convenient. They only put in work when motivation strikes, but motivation is unreliable. Discipline is consistent. And the people who master discipline are the ones who can be trusted with power. You want to be great? Learn to move without applause. Learn to be excellent when no one's watching. That's where the real power is. You think greatness shows up on stage? No, it shows up at 5 a.m. when you don't hit snooze. It shows up when you choose your priorities over your preferences, when you eat clean instead of giving in, when you open the book instead of scrolling, when you keep your word to yourself even when it costs you. Especially then. Discipline is freedom. That's the paradox. It's not the chains, it's the key. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers, the wishers from the warriors. You can pray all day, but if you won't practice what you're praying for, don't expect heaven to move. Because faith without works is dead. Discipline is your work. It's your evidence that you're serious about what you say you want. And here's the kicker. It gets easier. The more you honor the rhythm, the more it becomes who you are. Not forced, not fake, natural. That's when you become dangerous. That's when people look at your life and think it's talent or luck, when really it's just discipline, repeated, daily, quietly, faithfully. You want to crush procrastination? Become someone who moves regardless. Not because it's easy, but because it's time. Because the longer you wait for ideal conditions, the more you rob yourself of transformation. Discipline isn't about forcing progress. It's about becoming the kind of person progress can't ignore. And that takes grit, repetition, stillness in chaos, movement in silence. It takes saying yes to your future even when your present is screaming no. When discipline becomes your default, excellence becomes inevitable. Most people think divine purpose shows up like thunder, loud, unmistakable, something so massive, so undeniable, you'd have no choice but to bow to it. But that's not how heaven moves. That's not how destiny works. The truth is the divine hides in the details. It moves in the small. The sacred lives in the ordinary. You keep waiting for the big moment, some grand sign, some perfect opportunity, some miraculous shift. And while you wait, you ignore the power of your daily decision. But let me tell you something that'll shift your mindset forever. God doesn't show up only in the spotlight. He shows up in the schedule, in your routine, in your habits, in your response to the mundane. You want divine breakthrough? Start by honoring your day. Start by treating the small things like they matter, because they do. Every conversation, every repetition, every time you choose excellence over ease, that's you aligning with the divine. That's spiritual warfare right there. But most people miss it because they've been trained to look for lightning instead of listening for whispers. Understand this. There is no such thing as a neutral action. You're either building or breaking. You're either feeding your future or starving it. That 1 hour you waste scrolling is an hour of prayer you didn't make, a workout you didn't finish, a vision you didn't chase. It's not just time lost, it's alignment missed. You keep saying, I'm waiting on God, but God's waiting on you. He already placed the power inside you, already gave you the vision, already whispered the call into your spirit. Now he's watching. Will you be faithful in the little? Will you show him that you can steward the small before he hands you the big? And this is where most people get exposed, because they only move when the room is watching. They only bring fire when the lights are on. But the kingdom is built by the ones who can bring fire in the shadows, who treat the hidden hours like holy ground, who clean their house with the same passion they'd bring to running a business, who read a book like they're preparing for battle. That's the mindset that creates legacy. You want to break through? Start with breakfast. Start with the way you carry yourself when nobody's watching. Start with showing up to your commitments like they're divine appointments, because they are. You ever think about how a single decision can change the trajectory of your life? One email sent, one workout completed, one night where you chose to stay in and build instead of going out to escape. These aren't small moments. These are spiritual markers. This is where the future shifts. You know what? It's never about how much you do. It's about how deeply you mean it. One intentional hour beats 10 distracted ones. One disciplined day can change the momentum of your entire month. That's not hype. That's alignment. You move differently when you believe your life is sacred, when you understand that your ordinary is laced with eternity. So stop separating your life into spiritual and practical. There's no divide. The divine moves through everything. Every click, every meal, every word you speak, it's all part of the mission. You are not just living, you are executing an assignment. And how you handle the ordinary will determine whether you're trusted with the extraordinary. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, focused, intentional. When you bring your full self into the moment, even the mundane becomes miraculous. The divine doesn't wait in the distance. It walks through your daily decisions. Time is not something you manage. It's something you command, something you master. But here's the brutal truth. Most people don't own their time. They lease it out. They rent it to distractions, to people who don't respect it, to habits that drain instead of build. And then they wonder why they're tired, why they're unfulfilled, why they're stuck in the same cycle year after year. You say you don't have enough time? No. You have the same 24 hours as the legends, as the giants, as the people who are out there breaking systems and changing the world. The difference? They're ruthless about what they say yes to. They treat time like it's blood, because it is. It's your life, dripping out second by second. And once it's gone, it's never coming back. The real flex is not being busy. It's being in control, fully, fiercely, unapologetically. Most people live reactive lives. They answer every notification, jump at every request, waste hours scrolling, nodding, appeasing. They're not living. They're responding. They're caught in someone else's agenda. And when you're on someone else's timeline, your destiny doesn't stand a chance. You've got to protect your time like it's sacred, because it is. It's your most valuable currency. And the ones who win, they don't spend it cheap. They invest it. They multiply it. They schedule their purpose, not just their errands. Every block of time becomes a weapon in their arsenal. Here's the shift. Stop measuring time by the clock and start measuring it by impact. What did that hour produce? What fruit did that morning bear? What did you build today that didn't exist yesterday? That's how you start owning it. You don't just track your minutes, you make your minutes matter. You ever notice how the most focused people seem to move slower? Not rushed, not frantic. It's because they're deliberate. They're not being pulled, they're pulling. They don't chase time, they command it. That calm you see, that's power. That's clarity. That's someone who knows exactly what matters and isn't afraid to let the rest burn. You have to develop that ruthless clarity. And you earn that by sitting in silence long enough to ask yourself the hard questions. What am I really here to do? What moves the needle in my life? Who deserves access to my time and who doesn't? Because when you gain clarity, you gain control. And when you gain control, procrastination becomes a joke. But this isn't just about being efficient. It's about being effective. You don't want to move fast, you want to move right. Don't fill your schedule with filler, fill it with fire. Fill it with things that bring you closer to your highest self. Your timeline should reflect your calling, not your comfort. If your calendar is full of convenience, you're living beneath your level. And look, I'm not saying never rest. I'm saying own your rest. Be intentional with it. Schedule it with the same intensity you bring to your grind. Because rest isn't weakness, it's strategy. But don't confuse escape with restoration. Scrolling for hours isn't rest. It's a leak. Learn the difference. This is about designing your life on purpose, about becoming unavailable to anything that doesn't align. Your future depends on it. Because time is the soil of destiny, and you can't plant greatness in distracted ground. So get serious. not stressed. Serious. Get laser focused, get intentional. Because every wasted second is a seed you didn't sow, a move you didn't make, a version of you that stays trapped in potential. When you master your time, you stop waiting for the future because you become it.